Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, 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 beautiful hearts. We are here talking about Ascension Alchemy, and this quantum conversation will be a transmission. It's a transmission of loving light for you to come into your heart and remember the power of your soul, the power of your energy. That smile on your heart does so much for our planet, and for that, we are forever grateful for you. So today's session is very special. Jen Cunnings is a sound alchemist, and as we're talking about Ascension Alchemy, we're going to learn what that is, what it means to purify, what's important there, and how we can truly step into our authentic world, liberated from the noise of the external world. Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Hi, Loren. Wonderful to be together again. And I'm just over here admiring your eloquence and how you present. And I'm just like, oh, that sounds so delicious.
Yes, thank you. And so you have crystal bowls, and one of the best ways to bring us into our heart space right straight away is a little bowl work. Can we
Mm,
just take a quick moment? I know we're kind of going impromptu here,
yeah.
but this would be beautiful to help us build our heart-mind coherence right now. Can you share just a brief moment of a tone for us? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let me just introduce my golden bowl, which I shouldn't say I have favorites, but this is one that I tend to use most often and resonates with the heart chakra and feels like it brings in that Christed crystalline energy. So I'll just bring a little sound in for everybody to center. Breathe into your heart. Feel that connection to Mother Earth, the cosmos. Letting the sound bring harmony to all of your cells, all of your energy. And just opening up to receptivity today, beyond the words that Loren and I share. I invite you to just receive the energetic transmission, the exchange that is happening here. Thank you, Loren.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you everyone for receiving this. And I just want us to feel the difference. This feeling of the difference is where our power is. It is what keeps us strong in buffeting winds of change. And I feel like crying because this resonates with my heart. This keeps us centered in our heart space. We all know there's a lot of noise out there right now, but as we were sharing, part of what Ascension Alchemy is to take a look at what out there in the world is causing us grief. Boy, there's a lot. There's a lot right now. And so, Jen, as we're talking about Ascension Alchemy, and this notion that what's out there, if it's triggering us in here, that is an inside job, right? It's an inside job. We can't blame other people for anything. Can you share what Ascension Alchemy is and the importance of it? What is the work? Because we're truly rooting all that stuff that triggers us out. Expand on this.
Yeah, and exactly what you said, Loren, and that, coming from the perspective of we are not separate. We're not separate from the whole. And those of you who are listening who have been with Loren's show are here on a spiritual journey, aren't you? Right? You wouldn't be here had you not had some awakening or some impetus to realize that you've got a journey. And you, in this journey, you've been healing, you've been transmuting, you've been alchemizing, your past wounds and your past trauma. And I would venture to guess that everybody who's listening here, myself included, this has been our process. And I think that there's a point where we're like, okay, like I think I've done a lot so far, but it's never complete because until we see the outer world reflecting in a way of harmony, of oneness, of what we might idealize this ascension journey to lead us, our work is not complete. And so Ascension Alchemy was born from the premise in that we are all needing to continue our inner work, to allow ourselves to access, as you said in the beginning, Loren, that quantum realm embodied here, now, right? Not out there, in here. And so as we're evolving, as the energies. We're all feeling it, the ascension energies. And we just had the summer solstice, which I heard from many was quite intense. It's our invitation, and I call it a golden opportunity to really see, me, Lorena, I like to talk about self-love. What needs love? What
Yes.
needs love? And the alchemy, the ascension alchemy is like the process that is assisting us to liberate ourselves from everything that's prevented self-love or love, because they're really not separate, right? Self-love is no different than loving the whole. So as you shared, Loren, when we see the chaos in the world unfolding, we can use that as an opportunity to do our own inner work. Because if we're to truly align with where we're going, oneness, right? Ascension, there is no separation in that realm. And I'll quit talking in one moment, but what I realized in my own journey is it was just like, okay, well, I'm on this spiritual journey. I'm by myself. That's them. This is me. And there was kind of like some spiritual bypassing going on. I would kind of joke around about spiritual superiority of like, I'm doing all this and, traveling the land and going to sacred spaces and doing my meditation work. But then there was this point where I realized like, well, I'm part of the whole. And if I'm
Mhm.
not acknowledging that, I'm kind of like overriding. So that was the premise of the Ascension Alchemy, to have consistency with the practice, to have a way to transmute what is arising, to purify, to purge, to alchemize where we see fear, where we see, lack, where there's war, where there's separation.
Beautiful. And I just want to bring up, we're going to talk more about this further in this program, but you have a beautiful 3-month membership for people to support people on that journey. And can you imagine in 3 months' time working with this sort of practice facilitated by you, allowing someone a safe space to do that is a beautiful opportunity for everyone to join and feel their liberation from some of these things that are bothering us. And so I want to go back to what you said there because there's a lot on this planet, lots happening right now on all fronts. And, I am a journalist and my routine is to check in on the news. I don't watch the news, I read. and I read a plethora. But you know what? Even the things that I'm reading these days is not good for me. So this is
Mm.
huge for me, have decided I'm still going to keep tabs on things, but I'm not going to follow that. That is my way of self-love. So I've changed in just the past couple of weeks. It's been very interesting. I've changed from, checking in and kind of getting perturbed, because when I get perturbed, I know that that is genetically within me. It's in every cell of our body. And what we did in the beginning of this with that sound bowl, that allowed us to remove the noise and come into our center. And I don't know about you, and I'm still feeling it right now. I'm feeling the vibration of that energy instead of what's going on in the outside world. And I just want to make it very clear to everyone, this is the energy that we must be in, that we must carry. And when we practice this, when we take that moment, like we did in the beginning of the show, to feel that in our physicality, we remember that. We will no longer forget it. And so, just right now, as everyone just remembers that feeling that we had, that's so huge. So, this is why it's really important for us to take the reins of the horse and direct our consciousness, steer our consciousness into what we want. And so that's the path that many are on. And it's not always so easy, because I wanted to just say, as this year, I've had to go back to the basics about quantum physics, the basics about the quantum field and what we are generating. Isn't that interesting? Because the whole world at this point seems like it's going backwards. What is your take on this? We're going seemingly backwards because there's some special nugget, magic for us to remember. What are your thoughts on this, and maybe your own experience so far this year? Have you noticed going back to reclaim certain things?
Yeah, and that's an interesting question that you say backwards because lately, not even lately, time is hard for me, but let's just say in the past quarter plus, like
Mhm.
there's been an intensity in my personal experience and my clients with ancestral lineages and really having awareness of the patterns we're carrying forward from our past, however many generations back, which of course also reflects in the collective. And we can see these, these stories playing out in our real time that look like, oh, we're not going in the right direction. The
Mhm.
best way that I perceive that and work with it is that instead of it being getting worse, it's just getting brighter, so we're seeing it more clearly. It's like if, let's say, we've been volcanoes and we've kind of had this lava beneath the surface all this time, but it's still bubbling. It's still creating heat. It's still creating, let's say, disharmony. Not, and so now things are coming up to the surface. We're no longer able to hide the the density. We're no longer able to suppress not just out there, but in here. And I think those of us having these spiritual awakenings, it's because it's like, in order for me to feel that sense of connection with my inner, with the quantum, and I felt that, Loren, and thank you for beginning our time that way, because I think I was in my head. Whereas like when I'm in that space within me and I'm actually able to really feel myself as love and I'm emanating that and I'm overflowing that, like that's my idyllic place to be. And that is a place of alchemy because that helps to transmute things within me and around me. But then I can also, but I'm human, right? So then I know I can feel myself getting pulled out. I'm being triggered. I'm angry. I got stuff coming up from the past. I had a dream about driving my grandmother's car and I'm, bringing her patterns forward, right? And then we can see it in the outer, where, as you say, it looks like things aren't going so well. But to me, it's just getting louder. And so it's revealing itself to be alchemized, to be transmuted back to love. And that's our own individual journey. And I love your point, Loren, of listening kind of to your own guidance about the news. It's like sometimes we do need to see it and receive it because it's part of something that we can navigate, shift within, and that ripples out. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, okay, no, that's just not where my energy needs to be right now. And
Mhm.
that's the discerning part of when we're aligned, when we're in that sovereign place. I kind of I set it up to where when I'm in that space, like just show me what I need to know. Like just let it arise so that I can have the awareness and address it as it needs to be addressed. And what I've realized over the years of doing this is it becomes a daily practice. It becomes a moment by moment practice. It's
Mm.
not something that is, like we've all been to energy healers, and I still go, and I'm an energy healer. It's like, and it's wonderful to have that kind of big excavation. But the work that I'm talking about that I think is important for all of us to be doing is, right, what's in front of me right now? Where am I disconnected from self? What has impacted me to where I can begin to shift that lovingly, no judgment. Like I got to get rid of this. Oh, I'm feeling fearful. Gotta let it go. Yeah, we want to move through it so that we can come back to our center. But that could, let's say that could happen 20 times a day if we're really paying attention to when we get pulled out of that center place you were talking about. So that's my long-winded
No,
perception of.
yes, yes, I love that. And so, isn't it better to reach for this feeling of love and let the love dissolve that trigger? So it's almost like it's shifting our focus instead of going, oh, that's triggering me because there's so much. I mean, like I'm telling you, there's a point where, and I'm sure that other people are going through this too. And it depends on who you voted for or whatever, because there's multiple different realities. And so some of us could be like, wow, we could become addicted to the candy. It's like candy in the news. Like, what's that next thing? And that's the noise that you so
Right.
beautifully said. That is the noise. That's the noise that wants us to be into fear. And so, making personal decisions to keep an eye on things. We have a responsibility to keep an eye on things, but our biggest responsibility, even as you said, is this energy within us, this love fountain that we are bringing forward. And so again, that does take clearing these traumas, these wounds, these imprints, and allowing us to be in the alignment. And as you went on your own journey, can you share what that was like? Because that gives us a really good perspective about our own journey and how we can't get the correction of this path. Coming back to love, you can never fail. You can never do it wrong. So, what was your journey like?
Oh, I'm still very much on it.
Yeah, okay.
I think one of the reasons why the membership came up is because the journey is the consistency. The journey is the practice. And
Mhm.
and it does get easier because as we're, let's say, more consistent and diligent about doing the lifting of the patterns of our own life, our ancestral DNA imprints, and of course the collective, we can see like I always kind of joke, so I sit down to do like a self-healing session, right? And let's say I don't have anything triggering me or really up in my business at the moment, but if I check in with my body and say, body, show me a place within me that needs love, it's never like we're all good today. There's nothing here. And so to me that the journey is really about staying in a level of awareness. Am I in that space where I'm feeling loving and expanded and connected and I'm holding that frequency, or I'm not? And I don't know about you, but I don't live there 24 hours a day yet. And so from that perspective, there's always an opportunity to kind of keep coming back. And when we're in that space, I think to me that's our highest space of alchemy. But sometimes we get pulled out, and so we need that we need to do the work to come back in. And then it becomes bigger, right? Then we're continuing, we have our own stuff that's maybe coming from within, and then we've got what's being revealed on the outer, right? So as above, so below, as within, without, like, and I think that when we're on this path and, me being on this journey, it's kind of, I guess the best way I can say it is that it's gotten more expanded, whereas my work has been really self-focused for so long. I got to clear this. I got this in my trauma, blah, blah, blah. All these things that I've worked really diligently on for years. It's now just gotten bigger. Like the
Mm.
groups I connect with, the classes, the retreats, the world. And so it just kind of happened organically where the healing work that I'm doing and that restoring back to my divine self feels like it's just affecting or rippling out in a bigger way than it did, let's say, a few years ago. But I'm still doing the same kind of daily healing practices as I was before. It's just a little nuanced. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that because it shows us what happens when we are in alignment. It naturally opens up. Our lives naturally open up. There's no forcing, there's no chasing. That's
Mm,
what I want to really iterate here is
thank you.
that it is a natural byproduct. Our love is the miracle. And so you've lived that in your life. You do the work, you do the work, you show up, you get into alignment, you get into heart mind coherence and it clears the frustration, it clears the density, and then it opens you up to a new community, new people flow into your life, new opportunities. And this is how it is done. And so everyone can have this. Every single soul can have this. We have to get out of our own way first. And this is what we mean by going quantum when we are living fully in the heart with the breath and calming the body is calm, the mind follows that. And so there's so many beautiful tools on the planet, and your Ascension Alchemy, sound alchemy, and light language absolutely assist with that. And these gifts are what await all of us as we expand into galactic consciousness, this unity consciousness. So I just think it's really beautiful. Thank you. Now, I wanted to have you share something about a dream that you had on your healing journey. There was a dream that reconnected you to your inner child. Tell us about that.
So not that long ago. Well, let me preface with my
Yeah.
my son is 14, so he's all in to the teenager, right? The disassociation and the attitude and the, you it's been special, right? So I just have to preface. So in the dream, he's maybe 4 or 5, and he's like sitting on my lap facing me and super cute. And we're playing and we're laughing. And, it's like I'm perceiving him as like this innocent, sweet, smiling, before he turned into the teenager. So he looks at me and we're straight eyes on, and he says, "Mommy, you're going to die soon." I was like, "Oh, okay." And in the dream, I said, "Well, how do you know this?" And he says, "The God computer told me." So, And in the dream, I was really like myself in that when he was younger, he could channel. He would give downloads about the consciousness of different planets and stars and the universe and all this angels. And so when he said that, it was like, oh, like this is real. And then I asked him, well, is there anything I can do to prevent me dying? And he's like, no, like it's a done deal. Just really matter of fact. And then the dream moved on to something else. But what I woke up and I'm like, well, is that, you know, a real physical death? And no. And I did some exploration and I did some inner work and I even checked in with my mentor and it was really about um an ego death, an aspect of myself that is or is still in a protection mode that negates the innocence of my inner child. And this is something I've witnessed in myself and I think every single client that I've had, we start off in this innocent, pure nature, and then the world doesn't necessarily reinforce that it's okay to be that pure, to be that innocent, i.e., vulnerable. So we create mechanisms to protect that. And that's what happened to me at a really young age, going into like over independence and guarding my feelings, protecting my heart, not feeling safe to feel, emotions. And so the dream for me just represented like this part of myself that's been so vigilantly protective. It's a role that created itself is basically saying like I can't take that part of me with me on this ascension journey, right? It can't because that's a fear-based part of me that didn't feel loved. The innocent part of me didn't feel safe to be in that space of love. So it was kind of a simultaneously death like a partial an ego death and then a reemergence of the more innocent part, which side note is still underway. you know and to me that was, and thank you for asking to share that story, because so many of us still have these guards up because it doesn't feel safe in the world. Look at what's happening out here. And so you can see the challenge that we're having individually to be in that space of heart coherence, of purity, of love. Because man, it's how can we hold that vibration when it doesn't feel safe? Right? So these control mechanisms, these ways that we have adopted to protect ourselves, to soothe ourselves, it's you can see where it's like, oh, there's a lot of letting go here, right? There's a lot of surrendering that is needing to happen to hold that level of frequency of that interconnection, right? And that's part of again the alchemy of like it's challenging to let these parts go or to rather reincorporate them back into our loving self. But this is part of the work that we're doing. And to your point earlier, Loren, like we're doing some of the deeper work. The difference is we don't need to get hit by the universal two by four. We're not getting so far off path, right? That we can see it in front of us without, you know, if we're aware and we're willing to do the work, it'll come up in a dream or it'll come up in a conversation or watching, reading something in the news. We don't need, to get hit by a car kind of thing. Do you know? Because it's like if we're willing to see it, we're willing to work with it as it arises, then we're not needing that external extreme type of unfolding happening. Does that make sense?
It does, and it brings to mind near-death experiences. Folks who have near-death experiences return to this planet and they're totally shifted in their consciousness, and they
Mm.
know what Ascension Alchemy helps us do. They know that alignment. They know beyond a reasonable doubt that this is their soul's journey. And we do not have to have a near-death experience to witness that either. And
Right.
so, thank you for the work that you do. You really do help people in a place that stays grounded in the shifting times. but also aligned with our soul, aligned with our heart, aligned with the quantum field. And sound healing and light language help us with this. And you do sound healing. We witnessed that in the beginning. Light language, though, how do these two modes of operation assist us? How do they connect us back to our soul?
Because they bypass the mind, right? Our cells are receptive, the waters in our body are receptive. They're able to assist in that transformation, in that harmonization, and in that harmonization, there is that purification and release of what is distorted, and so like part of the Ascension Alchemy process of this group is to bring in like the teachings for us to be able to do this on our own, right, throughout the day, and then to have the sound bowls and the light language help us to go deeper. Like maybe we've got blind spots. Maybe we haven't been able to access or heal something because it's been wedged in there so long. So the transmissions of the sound and the transmissions of the light language really allow us to, kind of get out of our own way because it is coming in from the quantum, right? And it really is beyond like the linear mind's ability to understand. And so, sometimes I'll be working with a client and I'll be doing my energy work and I can just kind of feel their barriers. And I was like, okay, like I'm done trying to push through this. And so I'm like, time for the bowls, time for the light language, because it's like we don't even know we're resisting, right? Because remember I talked about those control mechanisms and those guarded places. And so the light language is like a transmission of, think about it as like little boxes or packets of energy, packets of information. And it just tells the body, like, okay, we can let this go. Okay, we can embody more of our divine self. Okay, we can, clear some of the fear to allow more joy to come in, or whatever it is that's happening. Because I know I talk a lot about clearing, healing, releasing, and purifying, but to me it's a 50-50. Maybe that's not quite, it's hard to quantify, but it's letting go so we can embody our divine self. And so one thing that happens with the light language, in addition to the purification, it's like this allowance of our, these higher aspects, our multidimensional quantum, being aspects of self to become more present in the body. So it's like a decoding of the DNA of the distorted energies, the dense energies, and a reigniting of the DNA of these higher aspects of self. So, so I feel like sometimes I get a little too leaned over in the healing part because I think so many of us focus like, oh, these activations and let me bring in all the love, but we're not creating enough space for us to not just receive it, but actually embody it and become part of our being. So like when we're receiving light language activations and then we just kind of go back into the same thing, it's like, oh, we got part of it, but then we weren't able to hold it. And that's why the purification process is so important, so that when we are, able to really commune and bring our divinity back in more fully, it's like turning on those switches of the dormant DNA that allows us that greater access to those higher realms, to the higher dimensions, so we can bring them here in the body, right? We're not meant to do it out here. What's the point of being in a body? Right? So I think, a lot of us who began this ascension process, like, ooh, 2012 is coming. I was so excited. We're all going to ascend, And then we're like, what happened? And so, yeah. And I think that, we've been realizing, oh, this has to happen all the way in here, in this body. It's not escape. I'm not escaping my body. I'm not escaping the earth. I am transmuting the density that's kept me in a lower frequency, that's kept me in fear-based consciousness or perceptions of separation, so that I can embody, embrace, and bring in, my divinity. And that's what the light language and the sound healing assist in. Well, many things assist in that, but to me those are such powerful tools because it's so much of our mind and our unconscious, resistance gets in the way. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely. So beautiful. Thank you for that. We are going to do a little mini transmission for everyone in this show today because we can feel that. And when we do that, I really want to encourage everyone to feel into the body because the light language and the sound, we can feel it. We can feel almost like every cell vibrating. It's so beautiful. Before we get there, though, I want to just take another moment to talk about this sacred container that you've created in the Ascension Alchemy Circle. And we will be offering that package to those who want to join it. But this really does, as you mentioned, it does support those in creating a consistent practice, right? So we can wake up one morning and say, I don't feel so well, and maybe do one thing. But this builds accountability for people. They have a place to show up to. And if they're in a bad mood one day and they show up and then they're healed, or if they're in a good mood, they'll go even further. What are you seeing with the transformation in those who have joined you in your circle?
Well, we just are officially starting July 4th, but we did have a couple of preview experiences. And I've done similar things in the past, just not in this level of consistency. And that's the important piece here. There was a couple years ago where I realized, like, you know, I just wasn't really embodying what I needed to. And I'm like, what's off here? And it was like, well, you have to do this every day. You have to meditate and do your self-healing work and move your body every day. My 2 M's. And that book Atomic Habits helped me because what I realized is that I wasn't really holding this kind of divine masculine container for myself. And so with that practice, that's when things really started to evolve and change. So what I've seen in myself and in my clients and in the groups, it's like there's a sense of self-trust that really begins to cultivate and empowerment because, oh, something's coming into my life that feels uncomfortable. I don't like this feeling. Well, then I can actually know what to do to shift. And so the Ascension Alchemy membership, we meet live weekly, which people are like, God, that's a lot. That's a lot, Jen. And I'm like, yeah, but we need to be doing this every day. And so when we meet for an hour weekly, we do about 20, 30 minutes in the meditation practice, and then we'll have talks and guest speakers and things like that. But it was really to like, oh, here's this anchor point. Here's a touchstone. Here's a safe place where I can meet and remember, oh, I'm on this path. Remember? Like, like I am on this ascension journey and I can receive the support, feel safe, commune with people who are in the same kind of like-hearted, soul-connected vibe as me, because we could look out there and be like, I'm feeling a little I hear from a lot of people, I feel like I'm alone on an island. I'm having this spiritual journey and I'm like all by myself. And so that was really the whole premise behind, like, let's do this weekly so that we are in a healing container, right? I create a field of frequency of alchemy so that whatever's going on with you, whether you are needing to be cleared, whether you're needing to be elevated, whether you're needing a deeper reconnection to, who you are or love or whatever's there, that we're creating that together. And just like, oh, for a really, really, really reasonable price.
Yes, and what a gift that is. Thank you. What a gift that is. That is, for a monthly session.
that is a fraction of a chiropractor's appointment. But
Right.
yet the benefits of it is community, like-hearted souls that you are friending, the sense that you are not alone, that you are feeling things that many of us are feeling, and you will be able to step up and be that heart-centered leader in your life and affect those around you. So I want to say everyone watching this is a new earth leader, whether they know it or not, because the work that is done internally absolutely changes our world. That's why we are here every day. We're doing this because we care so much about it, and everyone watching cares so much about it. So that's a beautiful opportunity, highly supportive. You know, if people can't be there live each week, there's recordings and all that fun stuff. But this just gives support. So if people need to go to sleep with these meditations, to listen to them again, that is really supportive. And I love it. Thank you for creating such a beautiful platform for people to ascend in a group in love. It's awesome. So we're going to put the link that got you here to this program is where you can find that link. It's in the description box where you're watching this video, and we invite you to check it out. Try it out. In 3 months, 90 days, you're going to be so solidly grounded into who you are and aligned with your soul and on fire. That's what I like to say. When we do this work, we are unstoppable, and that's so beautiful. Okay, so we're going to do a little mini transmission now so that people can feel the energy again. And as we prepare for this, you're going to feel into the group energy, but there's some common wounds that we're healing right now. And
Mhm.
maybe we can toss that into the pot. So I can toss some things in, but
Please.
you have your finger on the pulse with your own clients and the world. What are some of these common wounds that you still see being healed?
Lately, I'll say lately, because it always feels like it comes in waves and themes. Lately, there's been a lot around abundance, i.e., security, safety. And I'm seeing that again a lot connected into the ancestral lineage where, I've been aware, like seeing this in sessions of, how many times did the harvest not come in so that we could make it through winter, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So abundance has been coming in a lot, money, concerns about safety, and just again feeling like there's this, needing to live from a survival based way of thinking and being versus, oh, I can surrender and trust the flow of love, the flow of my life. I can really let go. Right. So, kind of coming back to that dream, there's these parts of us that are still in control and vigilant because we don't feel we're connected to the whole. So, there's that kind of abandonment, not feeling like you're part of that. And it creates that survival based way of being. I would say another thing that comes up a lot is just not trusting the self, like an inconsistent way of being. Like self sabotage would be the best way to put that, where it's like I can't trust my inner self or part of myself to commit to the things that I want to do, and so we get wishy washy and we waver. Let's see.
That is a huge one.
Yeah.
I reinforce that. Um, Procrastination, that self-sabotage. And I'm saying that many people, many light workers especially, are sensing this need to do something, right? We've been doing the work, we've been taking the courses. Now we want to step up in a new way. But what is that that's holding us back? That's huge, that seems. That seems like a little
Yeah.
barrier itself that can come down. It's that self-sabotage. Why are we afraid to step into our power?
Right. And thank you for that. Thank you, because that segues into like it's kind of that relationship within the masculine and feminine within self, but then we also have all these old persecution wounds. So like I led a
Yeah.
retreat to Glastonbury last year, and there was so much of that priestess wound was coming in, where there's the persecution and the oppression of the female and the feminine. And so we're having to do a lot of reconciliation to bring these parts on the inner that reflect in the outer, like back into harmony. Can we trust ourselves? Can we trust the world around us? Which we're like, well, I can't trust the world around us. It's going a little crazy out there. But again, it continues to reflect our own inner relationship with ourselves. So there's a lot of like surrendering and letting go and trusting, and clearing those old persecution wounds, for every light worker, for every person who has stepped through my door. Like, I have never met someone who doesn't hold that, because as you said, Loren, like this came through last week in our class. We are all here to hold, I don't know exactly the right words, but it was like we're here to hold a frequency, and each of us has a unique blueprint, a soul mission, whether it's just to be in the being of the energy of you, but we can't be in that energy, right, if we're hiding or we don't feel safe or we're guarded, right? So part of this is like, oh, I came here to hold this energy, and our job is to clear all the ways in which we're not able to do that, right? So we can embody and be and hold that frequency of love, hold that frequency of change, hold that frequency of whatever it is. And one more thing I have been seeing now that I've started talking, it's all coming flooding in. It's like the fear of change, because we're in this such high accelerated ascension energy. The movement is happening, and it's like very discombobulating. And so we're like, we don't really know what it is to exist in oneness in a body. We don't really know what it is to be in that full space of surrender 24/7. And so there's so much happening so fast. I can see like contractions happening, because we're like, what's, the summer solstice is happening. What's after that? I'm feeling, there's so much being rewritten and recalibrated. It can be disorienting. And so that fear of change and the fear of the unknown is another big thing that's been coming up.
Beautiful. Thank you for going over those areas that resonate so deeply. And so, as we prepare to receive your transmission, what would you like us to do? Should we just conjure up a feeling of a block or something and put it in front of us and just watch as that is transmuted? What's the best way to prepare to receive this?
Yeah, that would be it.
Okay,
Exactly what you just said, Loren. Just if
cool.
there, we'll begin with a little bit of clearing, and then we'll bring in kind of that activation. So, um, if you want to just imagine yourself in a sphere, a cocoon of light, and you can put in that sphere anything and everything that you are ready to shift, right? Even if you don't think you're ready. And even if, what I like to say too is, even if you don't know what it is, right? I like to just go all in. Like, let's just throw all the fear in there. Let's just throw all the trauma in there. Let's throw all of our ancestral patterns that, aren't going to be in the frequency of us moving forward. I did a client session earlier today, and I was seeing her walking on this new path, but she was still carrying the backpack of the past, right? So anything from your past that feels dense or heavy, that isn't moving along this ascension journey with you, just throw it in there, and we'll just see what we can do today to lighten your load. Okay. I got my, let's do it. And so with that visualization, if you haven't closed down your eyes already, just finding yourself in a space where you can settle into that sphere of light around you. When we are in a space of receptivity, our body feels relaxed. It feels calm. Think about a beautiful body of water, and there's no ripples. Allow yourself to come into this still, quiet space as you feel yourself embraced by this cocoon of light. Taking a few breaths to settle in, taking a moment to commune with Mother Earth. And just allow now, just allow any energies that feel feel like they're in disharmony with you, to just come up through your body and into this sphere of energy around you. You don't need to know where they come from, and you don't even need to know how you're going to let them go. Just simply allow them to arise. Old energies, dense energies, anything from the past that isn't aligned with your path, that feels light, that feels loving. Just gathering it all in now, and together, as you are in your own sphere of energy, we're going to create another sphere of energy around the whole group of all those listening now and later. And together we're going to choose love to come in, to alchemize, to release, to change. I'll bring through some of the light language now, and just decide to let it go. Ikale inala ora asanara are era haramo ora kuanari iana. Ekanara are sanere itoro ramashatana hato kora reshaneri iana ilaka. Allow Mother Earth to receive this from you. Allow yourself to release it to the stars. All the heavy thoughts, all the thoughts of separation and fear in your mind or your mental body, just letting those be cleared, letting those be restored to love. Ila kianara etana horabosa tara hara anara kiele ila. Anale etana hara ara eshota do koro oraki. Omodo orabosa tara hara yanare ila hanara koro omoto do koro matada kia. All the emotions, all the trapped energies, the energies you've carried from the past that were too uncomfortable to feel, allow the beautiful rivers of love to flow through you, flowing through your emotional body. Ikotoro rashanari itarahara motoro darahara arre nareki. Ikatara arre sanarahare itana koro ormotara kari itana hana kianare. Every cell, every atom, every particle in your body now just being cleansed with the pure light from Source, Mother Earth. Itorora shanara korapatanari etera haro orabosa tara hare anaraka. Anara hare eshatari anarakaraki. And again, we just simply allow a letting go, a surrendering, and a releasing. As we open up a receptivity, as space is created for us to receive more fully our divine truth, our soul essence. So just now opening your heart, opening the top of your head, breathing in, calling in your soul light. Kodororia naraketa rahmo tarakhreya narakele etana kara arki. calling in all aspects of your multidimensional being, calling in your power, calling in all of your energy into this moment, into this body, illuminating with your soul light. Ikanara hare itanamo otodo harabotara harianare la hanare kiera hare kiane eka. Anara kira aria sanara aro orabosa tada hana atakiane e. Ananabora sanara hare enaraki itanaraki. And just allow whatever is unfolding for you right now, letting go of what that is, just simply receiving. Kolo kora nare etana hare shanara koromo tara harabosa tara hariana etana etana koro oraki. Allowing yourself to see and perceive in a new way, even beyond your knowing. Ke toro rabasanara are etana mo otodo koro resanare etana ara orakwa. Tielani ilahanara ara harianari ikanara area shanaraki. Imagine yourself just illuminated with golden light, the pure essence of your highest expression flowing in. De la hiena etana moro korabasanara hareta kayana iatananaki etoro rama atana hananaki. Taking a breath into your heart, allowing your field, your light to expand, allowing that to merge with the earth, feeling oneness with the earth, allowing that to expand beyond the earth out into the planets and the stars, just feeling yourself communing, connecting with all that is. And then just whenever you're ready, you can stay in that expanded state or just allow yourself to come back to your heart, knowing that these energies will continue to flow, to alchemize, to allow even more of your divine light to come in. And let's just hold a space of gratitude for your own being, the gratitude for the world, and just sending love out from your heart to all that is.
That is the shift and the frequency. That is our soul that we embody. Thank you for that. So precious. Doesn't that feel delicious? There's no worry at this point. I can't even remember what was taking me off kilter. Wow, thank you. This is the expansion that we are from an embodied way, from a grounded way. And it is so incredibly healing and beneficial for the entire planet. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Loren. It's so beautiful to come together. I feel the amplification of our energies when we connect. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what happens in group settings.
Yes.
And so for those who are joining us today, we hope that you carry this out into the world and create magic in your life. Look for that change from this vibration. How are you witnessing it? Little things, subtle things, synchronicities. Once you pay attention to one little synchronicity, it will open the door to more because you're actually telling your soul, your higher self, okay, I got that. I see it. I want more. And this is our journey. So thank you for receiving this transmission, sharing it in your radiance, because that does ripple out into the world. And so, Jen, I again thank you for this. We invite those watching and partaking to join you in your beautiful membership. It's very affordable. Check it out, you guys, with all the support that you're getting, plus VIP guests from time to time and a growing library of resources. This is such a beautiful self-care, self-love kit. I love
Yeah.
it. Yes, I love it. Is there anything that you'd like to say about the Alchemy membership that we might not have touched on?
You actually just mentioned it, that is that I have a whole library that is accessible with meditations and light language transmissions that I've curated over the years, and that will continue to grow with this group. And so, if you're having a rough day, I've got them categorized by, if you need some support with abundance, or you need some support with clearing, or you need some support in relationships. You can access that library and have any kind of meditation, light language transmission that um, would. I think I've covered most of the categories that would support you. So, in addition to our live weekly connections, you've got the library, and there's some bonuses about your own getting your own personal light language activation for those who sign up this week. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
And I'm excited for you as well. And you know what? I just got those are on Fridays, those weekly sessions.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm calling them Frequency Fridays.
I'm gonna steal it.
Take it, it's yours. Frequency Friday, because when you wake up on a Saturday morning, if you go to work or if you're free, that's just going to set your whole weekend for beautiful creation and get you started on the whole next week. So, what a powerful package of support. We again hope that you check that out. Jen, this has been so heart-opening and expansive. I do just love being with you and your energy. So, as we say goodbye, any final thoughts on where we are, where we're going?
I would just say stay the path. I think, I have seen some discouragement in,
Yeah.
the spiritual path. It's like, man, we've been at this for a while, and there is no carrot, right? There is no destination, and just know that there's more ease, but just hang in there, do the work, seek support. Like, you know, Loren has
Mhm.
a whole talk about a library, like listen to, New Earth Network all day, like whatever it's going to take for you to know that you are supposed to be here. Let us send the love and support for you to receive that and acknowledge that and keep choosing yourself, even in challenging times right now. And just stay the path. We got this.
Oh, thank you. We do have this, and we're all human. No one is alone on this journey. No one is unique into what they're feeling right now on the planet. Absolutely. We're all going through it. It's how we navigate it, how we always come back into the heart. The heart knows the way. Again, the heart is where we go quantum. And there's so many tools for all of us that we've got this. So much support for you as well that I thank you, Jen, for creating that support for people. And I thank people for opening to that support and then also taking the next step in your lives as a new earth leader in embracing your gifts and sharing them. There comes a point on our planet where all of us doing this work now must turn and share it. That time is coming before we know it, but
Yes.
we're going through it right now. So
Yeah.
we're still doing some cleanup and it's gonna get easier. It will get easier. Thank you for this, Jen. Thank you all for your bright light. We love you. Namaste.
Namaste.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.